Alright, this is John Cole with OKRaw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and in this episode, actually, we're going to answer a viewer's question, or I don't know, I saw this coming somewhere, whether it was underneath a video or it got emailed or messages to me or something like that. So I'm going to answer it, but more importantly, I'm going to share with you guys some of my tips so that raw foods does not take over your life if it isn't actually that important to you, and actually how you guys could get the benefits from a raw foods diet, or basically simply eating more fruits and vegetables, in your life. All right. So I guess without further ado, I'll get into the question. John, has raw foods taken over your life? And I could not give you a straight answer or an honest answer if I did not say yes. It has taken over my life. But I personally think that's a good thing, right? Some of you guys might not, but I think it's a good thing. I love that I'm able to do what I can do in this day and age, and that I dedicate my time to this path and to this mission, and to me this is a worthwhile path, and I would not want to be on any other path whatsoever. And the reason why I say this is because we have to go back a number of years now, and I was stricken with a life-threatening illness. I had spinal meningitis that the doctor said was caused by complement immune deficiency. And that occurred at the time when I thought I ate pretty healthy, like I wasn't eating any red meat. I read my ingredient labels. Maybe like a lot of you guys still, don't eat red meat, might not eat some, animal products and stuff, but you still eat a little bit and you read your ingredient labels. But unfortunately, I still got sick and I was hospitalized, and the doctors told me something that nobody ever wants to hear. And actually, people that hear this, sometimes they don't make it out of the hospital, and the doctor said, you might not make it out of here alive. And that's not a fun place to be. And I was young when this occurred. And, whether you're young or old, nobody wants to ever hear that you might not make it out of the hospital alive. The hospital is not a fun place to be looking at as the last thing you're going to see in your life. And so once I got out of the hospital, I vowed and made a promise to myself, because I really realized that my health is my most important wealth. Because at the time when I almost didn't make it out of the hospital, what else was important? Was all the money that I didn't have in the bank important? Was anything important? No, my health is important, because I was about to lose it, and without your health, you have nothing. You're not even here. And I think that's quite sad. So when I got out of the hospital, I was on a mission to determine how is the healthiest and best way to live so that I could preserve my health, be in the best shape, not get sick again, extend my life, and be youthful. And simply what I found was eating more fresh fruits and vegetables. And that was many years ago now, and literally this has consumed me. It turned into my number one hobby. Like, I think before this, my hobby was like maybe computers, and maybe like traveling, maybe running my business, like pinball machines, like I didn't really play video games too much, air hockey. Cars. I like cars a lot, actually, back in the day. But yeah, so then after that, my major hobby shifted from like a lot of things into like one main thing. So my main hobby these days is health, raw foods, and things connected with it, like gardening and food preparation. So that's probably like a good over half of my hobbies at this point. 60% that would probably encompass. And then the other 40% would be, traveling and other things that I like to do in my spare time for fun. And this is how I set up my life, and I personally enjoy it, because the time I dedicate to putting into eating and learning about and growing more fruits and vegetables only benefits me, and more importantly you guys and all my followers, all my viewers, all my subscribers out on YouTube that follow me. Because when I'm learning something, I'm learning it for me. Absolutely. I'm not like learning for subscribers out there. But when I learn it for me and I learn something that could help me, I like to share with you guys too, so that you guys could benefit, from what I learn, from my experiences, and from my knowledge, and from meeting so many other people out there. And I would have it no other way, because, I've learned that your health is your greatest wealth. And I learned this at a young age. So I want you guys to take that to heart. And, raw foods does not need to take over your life, if you don't want it to. And that's the thing. We all have choices in our lives as to what we will spend our time doing, right? My time is spent, pretty much on a day-to-day basis teaching people about fruits and vegetables through all my YouTube videos, right? It's about, sourcing and going out and finding. Sometimes, I'll go out on a Wednesday, which is my dedicated shopping day. Usually I'll go out to like a bunch of stores, a handful of stores, to like go around to each store to find the best prices and the ripest produce, so I could be eating good for the week. My time entails sometimes going to the produce terminal, taking a several hour drive to go to the produce terminal and load up, and go to the farmers markets and load up with the best produce and find high quality, low cost plant starts so I could plant those out in my garden and I could grow my own food, and I mean, I sell the appliances such as juicers, blenders, and dehydrators, or vacuum blenders now, that actually allow you to process more fruits and vegetables and get them into you. Because I know it can make a difference in your life. I mean, I've seen it time and time again. I sell juice to people that had cancer in the past. Not to say that that's going to happen to you, but they get on a good program. They stop doing the bad stuff, which is super critical, and start doing the good stuff. And it allows our bodies to heal. It's completely amazing. And so yeah, I've made it my life, and my mission is raw foods. I'm constantly like researching things about raw foods, whether that's actually foods. Like today I was researching edible hibiscus, or called bele. It's called Alubiscus menuhat. Anyways, it's an edible hibiscus that grows good in the heat. And so I just got a bunch of trees, literally, and these are basically trees that you can just pick and eat the leaves, and they taste like lettuce, even during the hot weather. I mean, it's commonly grown in the South Pacific Islands. I've seen it in Hawaii. But even in like, zone 8, 9, and above, you could grow them as an annual. Just cut them back before the winter and pile them on. And they're like 12% protein, the leaves. And it's amazing. So, then I juiced some water pepper this morning. And I'm like, I was drinking it. It was like pretty hardcore. I didn't really pick that many. I picked like maybe 6 tops of them. And like I made like almost a gallon of juice. And like it was so strong. And I'm like, this juice doesn't taste the best. But I'm like, let's look up and see, like, oh man, this water pepper is like anti-cancer. It's good if you're a female to get some blood flow down in your reproductive organ things. Well, I'm not, don't worry. But it's like good for anti-inflammatory. There's quercetin in it. There's like so many cool things in there. And it's like to know that I'm like drinking this in my juice. So like I'm constantly like learning about new plants, learning about the benefits of new plants, juicing them, freeze drying them, doing all kinds of stuff with plants to get them into me. And I love it. and I wouldn't change anything. Like if I didn't do this, like I don't know what I would do. I mean, it's great if you guys have other hobbies, but this happens to be my hobby. And, everybody's free to have their own hobbies. And more power to you, whatever your hobby is, as long as it doesn't harm or hurt other people or creatures on the planet. I'm totally in favor of that, right? And so, like my brother, I love my brother, right? His hobby's not health or raw foods or growing foods or sourcing the best fruits and vegetables. He's into sports and teaching his kid baseball and going out to baseball games and football games and basketball games and betting on sports games. And this is what he does. And he loves it. And hey, great. That's his hobby. This is mine. So don't feel guilty if like your hobby is health and raw foods and eating fruits and vegetables or growing them. There's nothing wrong with having that as a hobby. And in my opinion, I mean, not to say anything about my brother, but in my opinion, having this hobby that only could help you, and especially if you share the information with others, can help society and even the planet by growing your own food. I think this is a better hobby to have than just watching sports games, which, as my grandfather told me, is basically 2 corporations battling for the greater profit, right? And, that's just what my opinion is. I don't want to get any arguments here. And if you guys love sports, hey, more power to you. But also, we don't need to have just one hobby. You could have like a number of hobbies. Like I have a number of hobbies, but some of my hobbies take up more of my time than others. So I want you guys to dedicate some amount of time to your raw foods hobby or your fruit and vegetable hobby or your gardening hobby, because this can enhance your life so that you can be more active and you can do your other hobbies. Like some of my other hobbies are like hiking, rock climbing and things, right? And because I eat this healthy food, I'm in better shape, better physical condition so that I could perform better at those other hobbies. Maybe you're an ultra marathon runner, or maybe you're into triathletes and Ironmans and all this stuff. And guess what? This hobby, your fruit and vegetable addiction hobby, will help you in your other hobbies, right? And even with like mental clarity, I've noticed my mind is quite sharp. And just by eating healthy, your mind can be quite sharp. So if you're counting cards and you love gambling, you'll be more effective at that too, right? And whatever it is. So I just want you guys to dedicate some time to your raw foods hobby, or I just like to call it a lifestyle, because this is a lifestyle I lead, and I like to share that with you guys over YouTube. And so this is what I do. That being said, you guys don't have to get in as deep as I do. I go to like sometimes up to 10 stores on a Wednesday to shop around and get the best prices and the best produce. I'll go to produce terminals. I mean, geez, you can't take any more time than actually growing your own plants, planting your own plants with your own two hands, making compost, building your soil, making compost tea, all the things I do to have some of the highest quality, in my opinion, food that money literally can't buy. But you guys don't need to do all this. So what I want to do in this episode next is actually share with you guys my maybe 3 top tips on what I want you guys to focus your time on for your raw foods lifestyle, for your raw foods hobby, your fruit and vegetable diet, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care if people eat all raw or not. I just want people to eat more fruits and vegetables in their most raw, natural, and minimally processed or unprocessed state as humanly possible. So my first tip for you is, of the time you spend with your raw foods hobby, I think probably the number one most important thing is spending time to source and get, or even grow, the best quality food you can. And hey, I love a good deal. That's because I'm half Chinese. And I won't lie, I love getting good prices on organic produce. But even if you're paying the lowest price, that doesn't mean it's the best quality. It just means it's the lowest price. So please be aware, guys, even if you're spending top dollar at Whole Foods, it doesn't mean it's the best quality. Generally, what I've seen is you're going to have the best quality in general if you could go pick it at a farm. If you could have a you-pick farm and you pick it fresh, right, you're losing the least amount of quality, even if their growing practices aren't the best, because you're picking it and you're going to eat it right then and there or soon thereafter. Unlike most produce that is picked far too early to be ripe, has less nutrients, and as well as, in my opinion, substandard growing practices. Yes, even organic food is, in my opinion, substandard in most instances. After a you-pick farm, then spend the time to go to your farmers markets every week and make sure you have a farmers market where they're actually farmers that actually grew the stuff. Some farmers markets in some parts of the country, there's just resellers selling stuff, no different than if you just went to a grocery store. So ask the people at the farmers market, hey, did you grow this? And hopefully they say yes. And if they say yes, then say, hey, when did you harvest this? When did you pick this? And then you can get more technical, like, what kind of fertility did you add to the soil to grow this food? Did you spray anything on it? So you could get to know the farmer, right? And you could source the higher quality produce, because here's the thing. The higher quality produce you eat, the higher quality person you will be, because you'll get more antioxidants, more vitamins, more minerals, more proteins in the same given amount of calories in the food you eat. And this is critical. Unfortunately, people don't really test their bricks. If I remember, I'll put a link down below to testing bricks, and you could get a bricks meter if you want to really be sure and get kicked out of fruit festivals that food is good or not. And that's what I teach you guys. Like no other channel I know teaches this, maybe in my opinion, advanced level stuff. And so take the time to source your food. Sometimes that might meaning run to the grocery store, the health food store that's a little bit further away than the corner market that might not have all the things. Maybe that means taking a Sunday off and go to the farmer's market to buy a bunch of produce. Maybe that means converting some of your backyard to grow some of your own food, which definitely, if you're into this and you're serious about your health, at least grow some of your own food. You don't have to convert your whole backyard like I did or anything like that. but I want you guys to at least have a 4 foot by 4 foot raised bed. If you live in an apartment or condo, have some herbs in containers on the balcony. Herbs are probably the biggest bang for the nutritional buck, and they're the easiest to grow. Just make sure you don't overwater them. And then aside from that, if you want to take it to the next level, besides the herbs, and you don't have a lot of space outside, I would encourage you guys to grow the microgreens. That's the best food you guys could grow in a small space. It could take you literally just a few minutes each day to mist them down. Once you get the process and you know how to do it, I mean, you could be growing those for life, and those are super nutritious, better than shipped in lettuce, and you could grow those inside your apartment on a rack any time of year, because if you're comfortable, the microgreens will be comfortable. I'll put a link down below to a video I did at a really cool microgreens place that'll actually teach you guys with 2 days of training how to grow your own microgreens. Second tip I want to give you guys that I want you guys to take time out of your life, because your life is important to you, hopefully, and by eating more fruits and vegetables, nobody's really going to debate that eating more fruits and vegetables is not healthy, because it is probably one of the most healthiest things you guys could do. And whether you want to eat mostly all fruits and vegetables, like most of what I eat is fruits and vegetables. Actually, today I had nothing but fruits and vegetables so far, probably like 4 pounds that was juiced for breakfast, which was today was lettuce, organic romaine, organic celery, hothouse cucumbers, some lemon and ginger. Then my next juice was like purple carrots, orange carrots, yellow carrots, golden beets, red beets, tree collards, ginger and turmeric and pineapple. And that was 4 pounds of produce juiced into like 32 ounces. And then I had like one huge non-GMO papaya. And that's basically what I've eaten so far. And then tonight I'll have more probably greens out of my garden. And, or actually I'm probably going to actually be making a pepper soup with peppers that I juiced. I'll probably add some ripe peppers from my garden, and then just harvest greens from my garden, chop them up, and then put them in the soup to enjoy. And so yeah, and then I'll have probably like a handful of nuts, maybe blended up in a blender to like give me a nice creamy sauce, and maybe some seaweed in there, which is another plant food. Maybe some fermented live unpasteurized natto in there. But yeah, it'll be amazing soup. And so like that's what I eat right in the day. That's the basics of what I eat. Every day is a little bit different. I might have a little bit different juice, a little bit different fruit. Instead of soup, I might have a salad at night, or I might have some pasta, or I might have a raw pizza made with dehydrated cauliflower crust or whatever. But that's mainly what I eat. And so the thing is, the second tip is I want you guys to take the time to prepare your food. Oh my God, this is like the most important thing. After sourcing the highest quality food you guys could get your hands on, I want you guys to spend the time it takes to prepare your food. Because if you don't do it, who will? Right? If you don't do it, who's preparing your food? Right? If you don't make your own juices, who's doing it? Well, the juice bar down the way, are they using organic produce? Are they using a high-speed machine that's going to basically, you're going to lose some of the valuable phytonutrients and phytochemicals in there? If you go to Whole Foods because you don't want to make a salad for dinner, did they spray that down with sulfides? I mean, are they using all organic ingredients, or there some GMOs in their canola oil that they're using? Or are you going to the raw food restaurant? Hey, I love raw food restaurants, right? They're great. But when I go to a raw food restaurant, I don't always feel the best after. Are they putting too much salt in there? I mean, are they adding too much fat and using oil, something that I don't necessarily like to eat on a daily basis? If I'm at home, I actually won't, unless it's a supplemental EPA oil and DHA oil for my brain, which I think is quite beneficial these days in small amounts. But yeah, I think people don't spend enough time preparing their own food. I mean, hey, if you guys are super simple, super mono eater, just want to grab a head of kale and eat it, that's great. But make sure to chew it well. That's the other thing. You want to chew your food properly, and even if you're having a juice, don't just glug it down, right? Take your time, sip it, swish it around in your mouth. And if you're drinking a juice, my juice, I nursed it, right? It took me probably about a half hour to drink a 32-ounce juice, maybe even a little bit more, because I would drink it, swish it around, read some stuff, work a little bit, and then I'd have some more. So don't just glug it down. Oh, I gotta glug it down. It tastes nasty, right? Take your time. And more importantly, prepare your food so that you know what goes in your food. And here's a shameless plug here, if you guys are looking for healthy recipes, because there's a lot of raw food recipes out there, and a lot of them may be raw, some of them actually aren't even raw, even though they're called a raw food recipe. They may contain ingredients that I wouldn't want to put into my body. Things like Oils, I don't like putting excess oils on my food. It just adds to the caloric content and without much nutrition. I'd much rather eat some fresh peppers or some leafy greens or a handful of nuts that have the healthy fats but also have, the other nutrients that come along with the fats, the fibers, the polyphenols, the antioxidants, the vitamins and the minerals, the sterols and the stanols, and all these crazy nutrients, all these words. But eat whole foods, super critical, super important. I've come up with my ex-girlfriend a recipe book called the GYG recipe book, and I'll put a link down below, gygbook.com. And I would encourage you guys to actually get that book if you guys are looking for some healthy recipes. These are recipes that I actually have made and eat myself that are John Kohler approved. I don't know if anybody else is going to approve them, although I do have some friends that have been into raw foods a long time who also do like my recipe book based on my style of eating, because I try to use low nuts. I think every recipe that uses some nuts in the book, except for one, has like less than a half a cup of nuts, which is not a whole lot. Some people might need more, but this is what I find works for me, and so this is what's in my recipe book. But I think it's really good not to overeat any food, because if you're overeating high caloric foods, you're displacing other foods you could be getting in. So my goal really is to eat as many leafy greens as I can, as many vegetables I can, get enough fruit to fill in the calories that I'm not getting from my vegetables, and have a little bit of fat to increase the absorption level, and have some good flavors as well. So yeah, check out that link down below for that recipe book so you guys could start creating some of your own healthy recipes. And even if you don't get my book, I don't care. Create your own recipes that taste good to you instead of buying pre-prepared items, wrapped up, kale chips in a bag, right? They're never going to be as healthy as the ones you guys could make at home. I would encourage you guys to actually spend some money and put it into some appliances that allow you to process your own fruits and vegetables at home, right? I was trying to think, I was driving in the car the other day, John, if somebody said you could only have a blender or a juicer, which one would you get? And it's like, man, I'd probably have to take a vacuum blender, but I'd really want a juicer. But, you don't have to have one or the other. You could have both, right? So get a slow juicer and a vacuum blender. After that, what would I get? That's a good question. I'd probably get a vacuum freeze dryer. I just got my freeze dryer. I've been playing with it. It is totally amazing. Preserves more nutrients than a dehydrator. I'll still dehydrate because some things might just be better for dehydration, and the freeze dryer, the process is actually quite a bit longer. Actually, dehydration can be done in actually a lot faster time. But everything has its pros and cons. But, the moral and the message of this point is I want you guys to make your own food. Take the time to juice, and today I was 3 hours in the kitchen juicing. I made probably nearly 2 gallons of juice. But, that's because I have an event this weekend that I'll be going to, and I'm probably not going to have a lot of time at home. So I basically vacuum stored my juices, and I'll put a link down below to that video. You could vacuum store your juices for up to a week. I don't necessarily recommend storing them for up to a week, but for 3 days, 2 days, even for the next day, no problem if you vacuum store and make your juices with a slow juicer. And this way you could, dedicate one day, a couple hours to make a bunch of juices, have them in the fridge ready to go. Because the whole thing is, people love convenience, right? And you love to go to that Whole Foods, grab and go juice, or go to your juice bar and just grab something. And you didn't have to juice all the stuff, but take some time, out to juice a bunch of stuff and then have it ready to go in your fridge. I have juices just now ready to go. If I'm running out the door, I could just grab a juice and take it with me, right? So I want you guys to make this simple and attainable for you guys so that it fits into your lifestyle, right? I think the third and final tip I want to give you guys, even though raw foods has taken over my life, it doesn't have to take over yours, but I do want you to spend some time with this point as well, and especially the other two that I just mentioned, is I want you guys to take the time to always educate yourself, experiment, and change your approach as necessary. Super critical. I do this on a daily basis, right? Whether that means I'm researching a new different food item I could be eating and the nutrition in there, and am I getting this from any other food, or whether it's watching other YouTube videos, looking up journal studies. At least you guys are watching me, so that's really good. If you just click that subscribe button right down below, this could fulfill your education requirement. And make sure you check my past episodes, over 500 episodes on this channel. I interview people that have been successful with raw foods and also people that have not been successful with raw foods, so that you guys could learn from them, so that you guys could, do it the best way as you can. And even if you think you read a book, right? You read this book or that book and it said do it like this, right? what if that book was wrong, or what if there's new information that comes out that wasn't in that book because that book was published many years ago, right? And so I always want you guys to keep an open mind, and that's what I do. Like, you'll notice that sometimes, like, my old videos are different than what I'm promoting now. Like, I think somebody messaged me the other day, John, you used to say that you didn't eat that much garlic, now you're eating like garlic every day. Well, yeah, so I found, like, there's always like two sides to the story. Is garlic good, is it bad? And garlic is not good or bad. It depends on your specific situation, your specific need. Garlic's a very powerful anti-cancer food, but garlic at the same time could put a second-degree burn on your neck, and I know this from first-hand experience. So it's like, some foods are foods and some foods are more like medicine. So to me, garlic is more like a medicine, and it's a medicine that I want to get into my diet regularly. And actually, one of my favorite ways nowadays is actually making black garlic. So check a link down below in the description for how I make my black garlic. And I could literally eat garlic as candy now because it is actually, sweet, and it doesn't have that hardcore flavor that's pungent and burning up your mouth. And actually, I would rather eat black garlic than some fruits that I get that aren't super optimally right, because I know the black garlic is so high in the sulfur as well as other, essential compounds that are good for your health. But yeah, I want you guys to educate yourself on a continual basis and also experiment with yourself and notice and see how you're feeling and make changes as you go if something's not right. I mean, the other thing I'd encourage everybody to do, and I'll put a link down below to this video, is get your blood checked, your blood tested, right? This doesn't take a lot of time. It's super simple to do. They stick it with a couple needles, put on a couple vials, send it off to a lab. You get a report. I'd recommend going to my friend, Dr. Rick Dina, who could help you interpret the results, who's a long-term vegan. He's helped me with my blood test. I'll put a link down below to the video I did with, going over my blood test with Dr. Rick. And he could help dial you in so that you guys could be as healthy as possible on a raw foods, vegan, plant-based, or fruit and vegetable-dominated diet, right? Super critical, super important, and I hate to see people fail on this diet. I mean, there's tons of YouTubers now that they used to be raw vegans, they used to be in a fruit diet, and now they're just eating junk, garbage. And I mean, I think it's sad when people are like all or nothing. Raw foods diet didn't work for me, so then you're just eating junk. Well, junk food, if you realize it, ain't working for you either. At least what I encourage everybody to do out there is eat a good percentage of fruits and vegetables, as much as you guys can get in, whether that's through juicing, smoothies, or just raw and fresh, chopped up into salads, blended into soups, whatever you guys want to do. And if you're still going to eat that other stuff, I wouldn't do it, but eat smaller portions, But, and the other thing that's important, I think the final tip I want to give you guys is be consistent. Consistency is probably even more important than all the other things that I mentioned. So I want you guys to get on a routine, whereas every morning you have a vegetable juice. But I don't want that vegetable juice to be the same exact juice. I want it to always switch up based on seasons, based on cheap organic produce you guys can get, because if you stick with the same vegetable juice every day, you're getting a certain spectrum of nutrients, and hey, those nutrients are great, but there's other nutrients in other different foods. In my garden, I probably have over 1,000 different varieties of different food items growing at any one time, so I get a whole different variety. Like if I ate water spinach last night, and actually I had water spinach and lettuce last night. Tonight I'm probably gonna eat the Janera procamens that's against the wall over there. I'm gonna eat the Malabar spinach since they're kind of sizing up really nice now. I'm gonna eat some horseradish leaves. And so I'm always kind of trying to mix it up, but I want you guys to be consistent in what you do. I think over the long run that's gonna serve you a lot better, even over preparing your own food and even over sourcing the best quality produce. But those two are also super critical, and that's almost like extra credit, because I wish I was taught this when I first got into eating more fruits and vegetables. And people told me along the way that yeah, produce quality is important, but I really didn't get it until maybe like 10 years in, when I really got it, and then I just went full force into growing my own food. And I want to encourage you guys to do that also. It's been one of the best things that have helped me, and also just like my last video, connecting with nature and being more calm, and it's just like it's a great hobby is gardening. I love gardening. But I think that's pretty much the end of this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'll do more videos like this where I kind of get into more, in my opinion, nuts and bolts instead of just sharing simple recipes with you guys, so that you guys can be successful on eating more fresh fruits and vegetables in your diet, because I know It has helped me so much, and it's helped so many of my viewers that I actually meet on a regular basis. I mean, I'll be out at a store and a guy came up to me, John, I turned vegan because of you, and I lost weight and I feel better than ever and stuff. And I think it's great when I just meet so many people that my YouTube channels have helped. And so I know it could help you guys to get more fruits and vegetables in you for sure. Also, be sure to share this video with somebody else, a loved one, a friend, or family member who might be receptive to this message of eating more fruits and vegetables. This episode definitely had some tips that could help them out. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below if you are not already subscribed to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes that are coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. And be sure to check my past episodes, including the links down below in the description to some of the videos that are referenced in this episode, so you could keep up to date and learn from all the past episodes, over 500 at this time, that I've already put up on YouTube. So with that, my name is John Kohler with OKRaw.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best.